From UFOs to psychic powers and government conspiracies, history is riddled with unexplained events. You can turn back now or learn the stuff they don't want you to know. A production of iHeartRadio.
Hello, welcome back to the show. My name is Matt.
My name is Noel.
They call me Ben. We're joined as always with our super producer, Andrew the Triforce Howard. Most importantly, you are here. That makes this the stuff they don't want you to know. Fellow conspiracy realists, friends and neighbors across the U.S. and across the world, let us be the first to welcome you to Thursday, April 17th, with a very special happy birthday to one of our favorite COVID babies, our super producer Andrew's cat, Astrid, who is approximately 5 years old.
HBD, Yay. Astrid. We love you.
Happy New Year, Astrid.
Yes, that's so exciting. We have one more shout out to do because as of today, when we're recording this on April 7th,
Monday,
yesterday, you guys, Stuff You Should Sandwich, consummate caller to the United States of stuff they don't want you to know, he got hitched. He is officially married.
Congratulations. We're sorry we couldn't make it on the sub, bro.
I know. We wanted to be there. We
wanted to be there. So we'll try to, we consider us randomly appearing on a submersible to be the most appropriate of anniversary gifts for the first year, right? Forget paper.
Yes. We have word from the Earl of Sandwich that we should make our way back to Philadelphia sometime soon.
Yes.
Together. I was just there. I wish I would have known.
Thank you for the invitation. We love traveling to meet everyone. Thank you also to everybody who has written into us from the land down under, inviting us to make some appearances in Australia. The best we can say for now is we're just going to keep pitching to accounting.
And let us also double down to hear back from some of those folks from Australia to let us know what are some great classic films of Australian cinema that we should check out.
And also give us a heads up when your country of origin stops letting American passport holders into your country.
Right. And tell us which passports we should use, hypothetically.
Yeah. Because we got stacks of them.
Drawers of them, along with our loose diamonds and lock boxes under the floorboards. Yeah.
No comment on that one. But I forgot one fact we did not include in our episode on the disappearance of Harold Holt, you guys. And I want to thank our Australian conspiracy realist, Treese, who hipped me to this originally. There's a lot of stuff named after Harold Holt in Australia. And one of those things is the Harold Holt Memorial Swimming Center.
Yeah,
that's nice.
Feels a little dark.
Yeah,
right?
a little bit. But he was a strong swimmer, y'all.
That's right.
He was a strong swimmer.
He was a strong swimmer, a lifelong swimmer.
Always use the buddy system.
Yes.
Okay? Just saying.
And listen for the whistle, as they say in summer camp. We are so happy to explore some of our correspondence that we receive around the clock, 24 hours, 7 nights a week. We're going to hear from AngryBizkitz. We're going to talk with Proud, with Flea. Before we do any of that, however, we're going to dive into something that's been sort of a hobby horse of ours ever since our series on astrology and the government. Could there be a scientific basis for astrology? This is a series of continuing conversations. And boy, we got a lot of responses, didn't we, Noel?
We did. And we're going to talk about one in particular from our buddy Astrolojon after a word from our sponsor. And we're back with today's first piece of listener correspondence from Astrolojon. Astrolojon begins. Hey guys, longtime listener, first-time writer. I recently listened to your two-parter on astrology and government and wanted to share some thoughts I've had on astrology as a scientist with a background in ecology, evolution, and environmental science, in case they are useful for a future episode on the topic. Boy, are they, Astrolojon. After dismissing the subject out of hand for most of my life, I think like many of us did, A few years back, I decided to give it a look with a more open mind. And now, after wading through mountains of bull beat me there, I think I've found a few things of interest. My current view is that astrology is essentially the answer to a question I haven't seen asked much in the scientific community. How do species create individuals with distinct and varied personalities? As someone who grew up in a big family, it always struck me how my siblings and I had such different personalities and consequent life trajectories, despite sharing the same parents and environment. And it seemed to me this pattern would also be crucial in determining the evolutionary success of populations of any type of social animal. Essentially, if every individual in a breeding population had the same personality type, it seems like they would be less able to adapt to changes in their environment than a population that had many different personality types. For example, a group of all risk-averse homebodies would be great at building small communities, but terrible at making new discoveries, while a group of restless wanderers would be the opposite. But how could evolution generate an array of personality types that aren't necessarily dependent on genetic lineage? Well, one way to do it would be through linking individual brain development to the bands of the Earth's electromagnetic field that are influenced by the other nearby or large bodies in our solar system, the sun, moon, and other planets. As we and the other planets orbit around the sun, the electromagnetic field of the Earth is subtly pushed and pulled in predictable but complex ways. Recent experiments, like the one shown in this Veritasium video. Oh man, Veritasium! I actually met the guy that does those videos when we were in the Middle East recently. And his name is Derek Muller, and a really lovely dude, excellent science communicator, and really some high quality videos there on his YouTube, Veritasium, like the one that Astrolojon mentions here. He goes on, videos like this have shown that human brainwaves change in response to very small changes in the Earth's field, creating a link between our brains, the Earth, and the rest of our solar system. Tapping into this phenomena would allow for an essentially infinite variety of personalities that were all built from the same dozen or so building blocks. Taking a tentative step out into this tree branch led me to a few additional ideas. The first was that the zodiac constellations merely serve as the number on a watch face, simply providing markers against which we can measure the watch hands of the sun, moon, and planets. This does away with concerns about the precession of the equinox and the, quote, 13th zodiac sign, as well as any woo-woo magical force needed to link extremely distant and ancient starlight to brain functionality here on Earth. The second was that this astrological effect wouldn't really be a tool for divination other than some loose probabilities based around the type of personalities generated in a given period of time. The third was that all of this could be super useful as a framework for better understanding and predicting human behavior on larger scales, if we are someday able to put it on any kind of real scientific foundation. I'll leave it there for now since this is already getting long. But in short, I think there are some tantalizing clues that there might be some real truths hidden away behind the astrology label that deserve some real study. Love to hear y'all's thoughts on all this. Thanks for all the years of quality information and entertainment. P.S. If this ends up being read, you can refer to me as John, or as my wife calls me when I'm hyperfixating on this stuff, Astrolojon. That's so cool. I don't even know where to start. It's like you gave a name and a basis, a scientific basis to the things that are often observed as being like the truths behind astrology and the parts that make it more, kind of like captivating. Because I think if anybody takes a hard enough look at astrology, you're going to find some things that maybe seem outside of just the fortune cookie-ness of it all and the sort of random, to your point, Ben, horoscope kind of writing of it all. I just thought this was brilliant. And it, I think it puts a lot of shape and a lot of meat on the bones of some things that we three, I think, were already kind of considering. What do you guys think?
Astrolojon? Nay, I say to you. No, I'm just joking. No, I'm just playing.
Rude.
I think there's just a couple other things that I was thinking about as we were reading through Astrolojon's message here together. The first thing is just, I think that initial link to like between the brain and all those things, saying that a group of people growing up in the same environment aren't going to have any changes in between them, because we know studies like the same family, depending on the birth order of children in that family, there are generalized personality traits that can be applied, Not always, right? Again, it's generalized, so it doesn't always work. But just small things. If everybody, even though everybody has the same family members, same environment, all that same stuff, the place where you sleep inside a dwelling might change your personality a little bit. The order in which you are allowed to take food from the plate, right? From when you're eating a family dinner might change your personality a bit. There's so many little tiny variables inside what we would consider the same environment that I think you can't just attribute that and say, well, it's all the same personality type is going to grow from this because everybody was around generally the same people in the same place.
Couldn't agree with you more. I just think it's an interesting hypothesis, or another factor, another determining factor in addition to some of those things that you mentioned, Matt.
Yeah. That doesn't mean I'm trying to throw water on this thing immediately and fully. I think just those are things you also have to take into account.
For sure.
And if I could weigh in, Dr. Astrolojon, by the way, congratulations.
Great.
Dr. Astrolojon, this is a real scratch behind the ears or the tentacles for me. We had discussed, we mentioned at the top that we've had quite a bit of exciting correspondence about a possible scientific basis or quantitative, concrete basis for what people call astrology across cultures and time. We didn't put this on the air because it's a little too weird, but I am very much of the same mind with you. I've discussed it with Noel and Matt as well. I love the idea of electromagnetic energy. My thought was going toward gravity and fetal development. I wrote a piece about this that I am overdue to send you. So check out that email. I just believe that is such a great place to start. The concept of, first off, differentiation of personality. And Matt, you make a great point regarding the myriad of variables. I'm thinking of pyramids too, because of something later on today. But there's so many variables that must need to be accounted for. So we've worked up a rough, extremely unethical methodology for evaluating maybe the effect of gravity on the development of the human brain, ultimately leading to my favorite idea: could you create horoscopes for artificial intelligence?
It all goes back to nature nurture, right? I mean, and to me, a lot of the things that you mentioned, Matt, in addition, are somewhat nurture oriented. If you're talking about like the social order of it all, when you get to eat off of the plate, that is a form of nurture where you are receiving certain types of, reinforcement, I guess. And maybe you are the alpha, if you're eating first, or even just birth order is the concept of being the big sibling, the older sibling, et cetera. Those things can have an impact because of the way older siblings are treated, mm-hmm. And so there's a nature quality there, and then there's a nurture quality. But I just love the idea of some of this, these astral bodies, as we know, electromagnetism from the moon certainly affects human bodies in many forms. And I just think the idea of it having an impact on fetuses developing brains feels right to me.
Yeah, that's what we're talking about, right? That's what I'm saying. Like, humans currently have very little understanding of gravity and gravitational effects. We know it affects all things in the known universe. We know we can observe gravity in easily reproducible instances in the local universe, but we don't really know why it's a thing or the full extent of its action at very small and very large horizons of observation, let's call them, Dr. Astrolojon, and I love the name. The second thing humanity still doesn't understand fully is the development of the human brain, especially in gestation, right? So we're going to send this to you. I think we're very much on the same page. You've given us a lot to think about with electromagnetic activity in particular. I was going in a gravitational direction, and I believe we talked about this a little bit on air, but we didn't do the full breakdown of the idea or the argument. So I'll send that to you as soon as we're done recording today, Dr. Astrolojon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't really have anything else to add, y'all. I just thought this was the email alone is a lot of food for thought for conspiracy realists out there, as well as for us. I'm going to need to sleep on this one for a minute. But thanks so much, Astrolojon, PhD, for writing into us and for these really fantastic insights.
We need 365 babies to be born every day of a year in a gravity-controlled environment on the equator.
Wait, they have to be they have to be, we have to eliminate variables, right? We talk about this in the argument. You read this, Matt. We've got to have, this is the part where it gets unethical. We have to have, ideally, the children born each of those days be as genetically similar as possible, which is something you can do, but there are laws against it.
Well, eugenics-y, maybe.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. So please, I can't wait for you to read this, Dr. Astrolojon. Worked really hard on it and would love your thoughts.
Mm-hmm. And I don't know this one, Ben. I'd like to read it as well. Share with us too. I'd love to take a look. Huge thanks to you again, Dr. Astrolojon. We're going to take a quick word from our sponsor and then come back with more messages from you.
And we're back. Guys, we got this message from Proud, and this isn't necessarily about anything. It's just something that he's proud about that I think we could be proud of too.
Hello, gentlemen. You can call me Proud. You can use this message on the air. I am proud hubby and proud papa of two people who work for Firefly. I was ecstatic to hear on Strange News y'all mentioned Blue Ghost. And my wife and my oldest child work in Briggs, Texas, on Firefly machines, rockets and stuff. You might not know that they have a plaque on the Blue Ghost on the moon at this moment with their names, the names of people who worked on that project up there. So my family definitely got fingerprints on it up there on the moon. And I think you guys would be interested in the way they name their chambers and rocket motors and all that. If you go to the website, if you're a fan of the Firefly TV show, check it out. But yeah, my wife and my oldest son are badasses, way smarter than they believe they need to be. And yeah, extremely proud. So I love you guys' show, and keep up the good work. Bye.
Congratulations, Proud.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's an amazing thing to have two family members involved in a thing that officially landed on the moon on March 2nd of this year, 2025.
Like, what's the? I want to hear what Proud. I want to hear what your Thanksgiving dinner conversation is like. You know what I mean?
Gosh.
Like, what's it? What is the? What is the rarefied air of conversation when you're just grabbing dinner or lunch with your family?
Lunar capture orbits.
Just the basic stuff.
Launch injection orbits and Earth phasing orbits.
Mm-hmm.
It's great. I bet it's cool. But anyway, we just think that's freaking fantastic. I cannot find anything about actual, like when I go to the about page of Firefly Aerospace's website, just trying to figure out how they actually name all of their stuff and how that relates back to Firefly.
Yeah.
I want to know, though. I'm going to look that up. So all of us, let us go find that out.
I can't be the only one that's thinking about The Last of Us, though, every time you say they work for Firefly. Sorry.
For sure.
Or Serenity.
There you go.
The sci-fi.
Yes, of
Well,
course.
Serenity of the Firefly universe.
Indeed, yes, correct.
Right, of the Firefly universe. This is an opportunity for us to our earlier questions. If you have any insight, any behind the curtain stuff you could share with us, Proud, anything you're comfortable sharing, we would love to hear it. Also, Blue Ghost is just an amazing name. Like, they're knocking it out of the park with the names.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Oh, this is so cool. I'm just looking at their website now, getting a little bit lost. Sorry about that. Pretty cool stuff. Jason Kim, Chief Executive Officer, and Dan Furman, Chief Operating Officer. Oh, now I'm just naming off people who work there. Okay.
I mean, it might take a while, right? Because there are more than 700 people working there.
There's a few people.
Takes a couple to get to the moon.
They got a shop, Ghost Riders in the Sky. Ooh.
Oh my God, these names keep getting better.
This is good stuff. Okay, so Proud, thanks for letting us know. Anybody else, if you got something awesome going on in your life, your family's doing something incredible that we're talking about, let us know. We'll just shout you out because it's exciting to be excited.
Yeah, like Rev, who just hipped us to the newest conspiracy realist around, his new child.
Whoa!
Yeah.
What's the name of this baby? Let's talk about it on air. No, I'm just
We'll respect your privacy, but we're so happy to hear the good news.
Can I also really just quickly shout out Ghost Riders in the Sky is a really dope old school country song. That's a really fantastic, spooky country cowboy ghost story.
The Highwaymen have a great cover of it.
Mm-hmm.
Amazing.
Johnny Cash as well.
Yes.
You know, guys, speaking of, I turned on the radio the other day, just taking a little drive with the fam. Sure. You know what I heard? Get down, turn around, go to town.
Boot, scoop, boogie.
That's it. Oh,
yeah, man. Whatever happened to Billy Ray?
No, that's Brooks and Dunn. No,
my bad. You're right. I was thinking Achy Breaky Heart. Oh, Brooks and Dunn. Really love Neon Moon. That's a great song. But man, Boot, Scoot, and Boogie indeed.
Tell us your favorite country songs from that. What was that? Was that 90s? 1990s?
Yeah, I'm okay with 90s pop country.
I like
but after
the older.
That, boy, it gets bad.
I like the older country, which is such a snooty thing to say, but there's some great hits from the 90s. Dude, Garth Brooks could not miss for a minute.
Even the Chris Gaines stuff was fine.
The Chris Gaines stuff was fine. He was on Saturday Night Live as Garth Brooks, the host, and as Chris Gaines, the musical guest. Yep. And Garth or Chris, if you're hearing this, you nailed it, man. Well done.
You guys see this Wallen character? Huh? You see this crazy Wallen character? You see what happened? SNL?
Oh, the guy who went back to God's country.
Well, you know what happens at the end of SNL, right?
Everyone hangs out.
Get together, you hang out.
Yeah.
You
Say bye,
wave,
thanks,
you hug. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, this guy, Wallen, he just walked right off, right towards the camera. Wow, what's he doing?
Apparently, there was some
country,
sort of kerfuffle about him using some charged language, I think, on set. And he was, I don't know, called on it, perhaps? It's a little bit unclear. But then, the whole God's country thing is, what even is God's country?
I heard he was really upset that he was not able to pass the bar to get employed by Firefly. And if you listen to the lyrics, that's what a lot of his songs are about.
I see.
I knew it. All right, thanks again, Proud. Let's stop all this silliness and jump to a message of high import from Flea.
From the Chili Peps?
Flea, I have called Flea plebe before on this show because I misunderstood Flea. I have gone to Flea many a time, as Flea often calls in with just fascinating stuff, just like this message.
Hi guys, Flea from the Northwest again. Just curious, okay? So I've seen this thing popping up on my Instagram, and I'm sure it's a lot of hibbity hoopla, but have you guys seen anything about these like newly reported scans about like these huge pillars that are beneath like the Pyramids of Giza and like theories associated with that? Because it keeps popping up, and I'm like, I haven't really dove into it, but what you said about the technologies of non-human origin, and they don't want to say extraterrestrial, it makes me think like, was there something else on this planet before, and we're trying to figure out technology that was used then? Anyways, just a thought. I don't know if you guys have looked into it, or again, like it's a whole bunch of hippie hoopla, but it caught my eye. So again, both you guys do, and enjoy the rest of your day. Bye.
Buddy, you better trademark hibbity hoopla, because that's a solid
That's from
catchphrase.
8 Mile.
Huh?
That's from 8 Mile.
Hibbity hoopla?
Hibbity hoopla?
I didn't hear a word you said. Hibbity hoopla.
Oh, yeah, I didn't know
Look
that.
at Snoop Dogg just got a boob job or something.
Late to the game then on that one, but it was a new one to me. Love it.
It's a good one.
Not up on that old hip hop thing over here in Matt country. Sorry about that, guys. But this whole thing, this pyramid thing, has hit my radar so many times. Have you guys seen any video or talk of this?
Yes. Yeah. I think you guys should go first. This is, not quite old beans, but it's a cyclical return.
Well, let's do this off air. It'll take us about a minute. We're going to watch a video of the Joe Rogan Experience where he gets introduced to the concept by somebody who goes on his show. This is very recent. We'll just watch the video that they watch because that is the primary video that I've also seen that's being shared around, and it'll just give us an idea for discussion, at least to give us a baseline. So let's do that, and then we'll be right back. No time will pass for you. And we've returned.
Boy,
okay.
Oh boy, I hadn't seen any of that, Matt. That's some sci-fi shit right there, buddy.
Yeah. So maybe let's talk about what we just saw. This is a clip you can find from the Joe Rogan Experience where he is talking with Chris Williamson about a video they're watching by Jay Anderson, which is based on information that Jay is analyzing. And in it, you will see specifically an image that is being shared all over the internet and talked about, where it is, it's a picture of the Pyramids of Giza, and then below them, these giant columns that are
eight, right?
Eight specific columns that go deep into the earth beneath
presumably
the pyramids.
Tubes, right? I mean, isn't that the idea? They would seem connected to some sort of reservoir, or some sort of like a giant superstructure, even deeper down.
Exactly. That's what it looks like, right? There is not a lot of specific information ever given, including in the video from Jay and including in the discussion between Joe Rogan and Chris Williamson. There's not a ton of specific information about what it was and how they got those images. Like what generated the concept that's giving them that imagery specifically in the infographics. Because down below it, you have these larger structures you're talking about, Noel, that are cube-like. And you've got spirals, essentially, that appear to go down the huge columns that, again, if you actually go to the literature and the stuff that they're citing to talk about this, it doesn't seem like it's all there.
Yeah, and Flea, we're so glad you reached out, because this is something that has circumnavigated the globe, right? Empowered by social media. And Matt, I love that you're pointing out how we hit this game of telephone, these Matryoshka dolls of information passed and quoted and passed. I guess we should say the specific thing that they're referencing is this paper about something called synthetic aperture radar, or SAR, and that is a real thing. SAR is a real thing, correct? Like that technology exists.
Yes. Oh yeah. There's a book. There is a paper that was published in 2022. There's two people. I think it's Corrado Malanga and Filippo Biondi that published this 2022 series of papers and books. This is about synthetic aperture radar, and NASA even comes forward and says, hey, yes, SAR, S-A-R, is real. This is a thing that can be used in an instrument, sends out energy, pulses of energy, then it comes back and it gives you reflected energy. Theoretically, it's kind of like the LiDAR technology we've discussed. Exactly.
We also know that I'm just establishing things we know to be true. Okay, Flea, we know that scientists are continually discovering new things around ancient Egyptian sites, including the Giza pyramids. It was just May of last year, I believe, that scientists were investigating a puzzling underground anomaly near the Giza pyramids. But that's not the same thing as finding these 8 ginormous, inexplicable pillars. What they're finding instead seems to be surface level, like things connect, underground chambers connecting surface level tubes. And that's not uncommon for those things to be discovered. So I think it's key for us to acknowledge, yes, SAR is real. And yes, secondly, people are still finding things at these ancient sites. Those two things are true.
Absolutely. And if you might indulge me in a thought experiment real quick, my mind immediately goes to the idea of orgone energy, the idea of pyramids being these beacons of, whatever, cosmic power, and what if this device underneath it were some way of harnessing and storing that kind of thing? If this were to be true, which probably isn't, but it's fun to think about, because I immediately look at this and see these spirals and these coils connecting to this underground superstructure. And I immediately think it's some sort of battery, or it's some sort of like way of harnessing energy that the pyramids are collecting.
Sure looks like it, right? It looks similar to a diagram you might see of a power generation source.
Power plant. Yeah,
right.
100%.
Plant.
Yes, sir.
Or even just coils, as you're saying, that are pulling in some form of unknown energy, or even that deep geothermal energy or something like that.
Which is real, which could, there are certainly whole HVAC systems for homes that actually pull energy out of the ground. I forget what they're called. Yeah. That's exactly right. But it's a certain type of technology that you can use in your home to siphon, heat energy from the earth.
But 640 meters deep is
it's a stretch.
Yeah. And also, 648 meters deep is really deep. And also, this is something that will hopefully prevent some angry emails from the PhDs in the crowd. just because something, yeah, well, no, not us. So we got to point this out. Just because a paper has been published does not mean the thing the paper is about is conclusively proven.
Yeah, it means come at me, other scientists. No.
Well, that's how. I mean, that's not too
how
far
science
off
works.
The mark. Right, right. But that's peer review. So there are innumerable scientific journals or purported journals, and there are tons of papers that come out. We have to be very careful because sometimes if someone is trying to prove something, they may just sort of play the game of rhetorical tagging base and say, well, there was a paper about it. But the thing is, there are papers about a lot of stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, this particular paper has not been peer reviewed as of March 25th, when this Snopes article I'm looking at was written. And also within the paper, it does, let's say it alludes to some ancient alien theories, in the same way that Missing 411 alludes to a large, hairy, potentially multi-dimensional creature that abducts people.
Yeah. Well, it's also, that's not a bad comparison there, Matt, because we know the full paper that has been discussed in these press conferences. It doesn't seem to have been not only peer reviewed, but even released in full. And the point about the authors is that the authors of this paper do have previous work in what we would loosely call ancient alien theories.
Yeah. Well, and it doesn't help that you can see the infographic that Joe Rogan was looking at on that episode that we just checked out. That image is very different from a lot of the other ones that are being shared on social media that are also purporting to be true. Mm-hmm. And they are 100% conclusively generated with one of these AI generation models. Sure. Yeah. And that's according to Snopes, and 99.5% positivity that at least one of the most popular ones that you'll find that has it looks like a space age pyramid structure that appears to be a UAP of some sort with this, these giant columns with all kinds of cool light effects going on. Yeah. And, it's pretty obviously a generated image, but it's being sent around and looked at by people that may not be aware that that's what they're looking at.
Or they might think it's an artistic rendering, which does happen in legit scientific investigations.
Yes.
The name I was thinking about, we mentioned him earlier, mentioned the author earlier. It's Corrado Malanga specifically, who has written a bunch of books about ancient alien-human interaction. And, not to profile too hard, but we do have to consider previous publications when we look at this stuff.
Oh, yeah. And you also have to just keep in mind that if you're going in to any investigation like that with a predetermined conclusion, and you're, that's what science does, right? You have a hypothesis, then you're looking to prove that wrong or right, but mostly wrong, because if you can't prove it wrong, then it's probably right. But if you're going in with such a strong bias and you are using something that does exist, like synthetic aperture radar, and you see some stuff that maybe is anomalous to what you imagine to find, you are then putting this bias on whatever that is, rather than further exploring the potentials of what it could be.
What's that old joke? Who is this Rorschach guy, and why does he keep drawing pictures of my granddad's penis?
Got
Inquiring minds want to know.
Got a lot of those pictures on my wall downstairs.
Well, I got a lot of them on my phone. Is that weird? No, I'm joking.
Hey, I'll stop texting. So anyway, but that's, crass jokes aside, we hope that one gave you a chuckle, Flea. I think that's an incredibly important point about how predetermined, desires or predetermined patterns the human mind seeks to recognize will have a heavy influence on the interpretation of new information, especially since, just as we outlined, there are bits of truth. Like, people are still finding weird stuff around these ancient sites. There are a lot of unanswered questions about ancient history, and the technology described is a real thing.
Yep. Go down the real existing rabbit hole right now over at Smithsonian Magazine. Search for "Scientists are investigating a puzzling underground anomaly near the Giza pyramids using remote sensing technologies. Researchers have discovered two connected structures in a previously unexplored area." That is like the real stuff right now that you can check out that is being discovered in around the Pyramids of Giza in Egypt. Then you can find this other stuff if you want to, I guess, search pillars pyramids, and you'll find all of this stuff, including Reddit threads out the wazoo.
Yes, yeah. And pay attention to which subreddits you're checking out, because some of them will have vastly different responses to the same piece of news. I love this stuff, man. And when this started making the rounds, like so many other people, I saw an interesting infographic. And what do? You click on it, right? We're inquisitive. We want to learn more. And I did some of the same diving that we're doing today. And my face went from like really excited, leaning in, to going, and by the end, I have full De Niro face, you know?
What is this? These pillows looking at me?
What do you think you got a pillow over here? What you, pillow man?
Yep. All right. Hey, so Flea, thank you so much. Proud, thank you so much. We'll be right back with more messages from y'all.
And we have returned. We're going to hear from I believe, a possible returning conspiracy realist. Just love your name, AngryBizkitz. So, AngryBizkitz, putting a little spin on the accent here. Here's what we heard. This is in response to our tariffs episode. Ben, Matt, Noel, great episode as usual, very informative. I thought you might be interested in an aspect of the topic you didn't cover, the chicken tax. Now, have we ever heard of the chicken tax?
We talked about a chicken tax with regards to the eggs at Waffle House.
Yes, yeah. So we were getting there. This is interesting. This is a bit of ridiculous history too, and it's instructive for us. This was kind of new to us. AngryBizkitz continues. Have you ever wondered why we can't get those cute Japanese light trucks over here? Yes. Have you ever
wait. What are those?
The cute Japanese light trucks?
I don't know what that is.
They're like cool pickup truck. I'll send you a picture. They're these cool series or genre of work trucks that have a smaller footprint. You know how like you can't buy a regular old school pickup truck in the U.S. now. They're all
like
big.
The Kai truck or K truck, KEI truck. It's
like those kind of things.
It's a teeny little guy.
Yeah, it's a little boy. Yeah, and AngryBizkitz continues. Have you ever wondered why the Subaru Brat had two seats facing backwards in the bed? Have you ever wondered why Chuck Taylors or Skechers have fuzzy soles? It's the chicken tax. We'll talk about this a little bit after, but I just love the way you write, AngryBizkitz. You continue. Post-dub-dub-dose, nice. Chicken farming domestically was all the rage. We were exporting chicken to Europe like crazy. Over there, chicken was considered a luxury meat. The Europeans, especially the French, didn't like this and put tariffs on the chicken we were exporting. So, in response, Lyndon Johnson put a 25% tariff on light trucks and other goods. That tariff on light trucks still exists, and auto manufacturers did odd things to get around it, like installing the backward seats in the Subaru Brat to make it a passenger car, or sending over cargo vans with side panels lightly welded in over to a finishing factory, which would then install the seats and the glass and get you a passenger van. Those shoes, the fuzzy bottom on the Converse, gets them classified as house shoes or slippers, which is a lower tax tariff rate than regular shoes. Crazy, isn't it? Thanks for the show, and thanks for all the thought material. I'm AngryBizkitz, and I approve this message. Feel free to use in any way you like, including reading it in a listener mail segment. So, I love this. Chicken tax, kind of a misleading name.
Yeah.
But it hits on a real period of ridiculous history, and it also tells us something that I think we could return to in the future, which is tariff loopholes. There's so many ways to get around this, you know?
Oh, yeah. Gotta say, though, and I'm sorry for this, I'm still stuck on the Subaru Brat.
You want a Brat?
This thing is awesome.
I know, right? It's
and it's an acronym.
Yes, it's an acronym. What was the acronym? Oh, Bi-Drive Recreational All-Terrain Transporter.
Yeah,
right.
And it really does have two seats in the back of a truck, but it also looks like a car.
Yeah, it looks kind of like a you know how an El Camino is like a truck and a car had a kid?
Yes.
This one looks like one of its parents was an El Camino, and we don't know, which one.
Oh, for sure. And then they strapped 2 seats back there because awesome.
Because tariffs. Yeah. This is what is called a gray import vehicle. You can get them through sort of third parties. Sometimes they're parallel imports, but the entirety, AngryBizkitz, you're absolutely correct. The entire reason that they were that they have these 2 super adventurous seats in the back is to get around tariffs. And that story about Converse is true as well. These are money-saving hacks, and they happen more frequently than a lot of people would assume. The loopholes rise in step with the tariffs.
Can I also, one last thing? I'm sorry to just
keep going,
focus on these products like this.
Yeah.
What are the fuzzy soles on Chuck Taylor's in this? Like, what are we talking about? Maybe I don't understand this.
Yeah. Okay. So if you ever put on a fresh pair of Chucks, who doesn't love a good pair of Converse?
Can I tell you? I haven't, but okay.
You haven't?
No,
all right.
I don't know what this is.
They're an acquired taste.
Up.
They're kind of like not the most comfortable of shoe. It's like the canvas bag of shoes,
Yeah, they're not. I mean, they're not going to be your everyday forever shoes.
For some people, they wear them until they're
no. I'm saying for Matt,
they're
not going to be as everyday forever.
No, not for you, Matty. I don't think you're a Chucks kind of guy.
But what's the fuzzy bottoms thing?
So they have felt soles. This is a layer of fabric that usually goes away pretty quickly. But if you buy a fresh pair of Converse, you'll see that they have this very thin layer of fabric on the bottom. And Converse or in the past, they used to officially say this helps with things like quieter usage and shape retention. But the real reason is that loophole that AngryBizkitz describes, because now you don't have the same. Okay, Converse is part of Nike. Nike imports its products into the U.S. from China. And so back in 2018, the previous Trump administration put a bunch of tariffs on a wide range of U.S. imports from China. Some items had heftier tariffs than others. So sneakers, for instance, have 37.5% tariff, or they did. And historically, they've had a lot of high tariffs, depending on how trade relations go. But slippers are not sneakers. They only have a 3% tariff. And the legal requirement for a shoe to be considered a slipper is to have a fuzzy-wuzzy sole.
Interesting. So yeah, I mean, I guess I'm picturing a Chuck Taylor, which I used to wear often, and the bottoms, they do kind of get worn pretty quickly. I guess I never really thought of them as being fuzzy, though. That's interesting.
It's a very thin thing, and this chicken tax is something, again, that we should all be more aware of, because it's a precedent up there with the Smoot-Hawley Tariff Act.
Oh, yeah.
It occurred.
It's coming up a lot.
Oh yeah. It occurred in 1964 under LBJ and Jumbo, or whatever he called it, and
who he consulted on a regular basis.
Who he consult. Yeah. I love the euphemism there. Who he consulted on a regular basis. Hold my calls. I'm consulting.
Oh.
So,
guys, I want a Honda.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a T360. I want that now.
Oh man, Japanese cars are cool.
It's got cute little eyes on it, and it's a baby truck.
Oh yeah, looks like a face.
Ben, sorry to derail for a second, but you've mentioned this, and I didn't really realize it until I saw some YouTube videos recently. The electric cars that are available in Asia, but not here, are insane. The level of tech that they have over there puts folks like Tesla to absolute shame. And it's no wonder that American, EVs aren't doing much over there, because the competition is outrageous. I'm trying to think of a couple of brands that you may know off the top of your head, Ben, but I saw one that you can make it bounce and jiggle and move around and stuff. It's crazy what you can do with these things.
I mean, there are a lot, even outside of EV, like the Avita Avatar without an E, Avatar 2. It's sick. The SUV game is just over. And we're not trying to sound as though we are anti-American or something, but we are, I think, unanimously agreed that were these vehicles allowed into the U.S. at a higher rate, or at any rate, people would love them. Yeah. People would dig all the features on these things.
Yeah. I mean, and I love my Honda CR-V hybrid, which I'm glad. It seems like I got just in the nick of time, by the way, y'all. Mm-hmm. Woo. Yeah. I mean, truly, like within weeks, I mean, could have been a whole nother story as far as like that being a car that I could afford.
Yeah. And these tariffs that launched 1,000 ships of weird consumer activity, these tariffs from the chicken tax eventually end up getting lifted. But since 1964, there's been this precedent of protectionism. And it is, despite being called the chicken tax, it is specifically often aimed to give U.S. domestic auto manufacturers an advantage over imports, right? And, some of that's just the dirty business of lobbying, to be quite honest. Some of it is, national security concerns about the economics of the nation, right? Employment numbers and so on. But this leads us to a concept that AngryBizkitz, you are probably familiar with, but we have to introduce everybody to this term: tariff engineering. That's what it's called. It's not called cheating. It's not called fixing the game. It's called engineering, tariff engineering. That's where you make a product on purpose to exploit in some way a loophole in the tariff system that you're trying to hack. That's why you get the felt. That's why you get, that's why you get the adventurous back seats on the Subaru Brat.
That makes sense.
The Subaru Brat?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys. I stepped out for a minute. Full disclosure. I don't think I caught the Subaru Brat conversation. I didn't know. Is it like reference to Brat Summer, to Charlie XCX, or does this predate Charlie's Brat?
It's the original Brat Summer. It's the bi-drive recreational all-terrain transporter. The Subaru.
Who knew that's what Brat stood for all along? Jeez.
Noel, you're not ready for how awesome this thing is.
You mean how Brat it is?
You so gotta see it. Oh.
Have you do check it out. There's imagine if an El Camino was a little more awkward.
Cool. Picturing it.
And not loving seats in the truck part of the Camino.
Facing out, facing backwards.
Well, that sounds fun. It's like it's like a ride,
It sure is.
I mean, an amusement park ride.
So we want to hear your favorite examples of these tariff loopholes or tariff engineering. I think it happens in food a lot as well, like what could be considered which type of candy, right? What could be considered, a truck or a car or a toy or an action figure. I feel like anywhere you find a demand for a product, depending on how the nation's leaders go, you'll find clever, weird loopholes.
Oh, yeah. I'm looking at a great NPR article titled, A Look at Some of the Creative Ways Companies Try to Dodge High Tariffs. And that was published in early March of last year. And it just goes through all this stuff where it gives you examples of people just reclassifying stuff. Like, you know what? It's not that anymore. It's this. And so it's not tariffable.
Yes. What a terrific idea. This is an article you linked us to, AngryBizkitz. Please do check out the article. It has a great statement from Douglas Irwin, who is an economics professor at Dartmouth, who says the following: it's sort of like whack-a-mole. If you hit China with a tariff, you start importing from Vietnam. Pretty soon, Vietnam will get hit with a tariff, and then you import from Cambodia or something like that. So there's a limit to how much you can reshuffle where you're importing from. And then, this is the one that mentions the action figures.
That's exactly what I wanted to go to next.
Yeah.
Why don't you tell us about that? There's a line in there about how Marvel got around some stuff.
Yeah, so it's back in 2003. Marvel, of course, is making a ton of merchandise as always. They've got some pretty sick action figures for comic fans. However, they had to go to court and say, look, we know there are tariffs on dolls, but X-Men action figures are non-human toys because the X-Men are mutants.
Well, yeah, they're non-human toys. They're not dolls. They have their tax rate by calling them non-human toys rather than dolls.
And nothing changed about this is interesting because nothing changed about the actual thing they were making. It's just the way that they described it. And then that also gets us to the Planet Money report, where you will pay more for a Santa suit depending on whether it has zippers or Velcro.
Yep.
Which I feel like, in retrospect, I feel like that explains a lot of the, the not great quality costumes we've bought for video sketches.
Oh yeah, and the knockoff ones that you can find that are half price. It's the same thing, but it's half price. You're like, oh wait, it's just Velcroed in the back instead.
Right. Or this isn't a Santa suit, it's an Antas suit. And it just happens to be white and red. So,
dude, there's a whole thing in here. You know, Snuggies. Do you remember how like, huge that was back in the day? Not that long ago. Snuggies, this idea that's kind of a wearable blanket situation. Well, depending on if it's a blanket or an article of clothing, changes things. So which one is it? Is it a blanket you can wear or an oversized hoodie?
Right. Well, it depends on the tax rate. Yeah,
exactly.
And this is the thing. Tariff engineering is legal. It is totally fine to go to court and say, Your Honor, this is very anti-mutant legislation.
That's so.
I wonder what. So 2003. So Stan Lee is alive, right?
Yeah.
So is he? Oh my gosh! I'm picturing the Stan Lee voice where he's yelling at the judge. He's leaving the courtroom, just going "Excelsior."
Yeah, and then you zoom out and you're actually inside an episode of the X-Men, and then you zoom out further and Iron Man's there, and you're like, "What's happening?"
And then you zoom out even further, and Kevin Feige is just somewhere in space with his fingers steepled. Yeah. We're going a little off the rails here, folks, but we sure appreciate your time. And please, please, please do tell us your favorite hilarious examples of tariff loopholes. Thanks to AngryBizkitz for hipping us through the chicken tax. Thanks to Proud. We're proud of you, man. We can't wait to hear that insider info on Firefly. Just the legal insider info. That part.
Yeah, just that part. But then also the naming conventions.
Yes, very much so. Very much so.
Are we talking characters, episodes, like different planets? What are we talking?
Yeah. Lay it out for us. Tell us what the future. You know what? We have some name ideas. We're all right, dudes. We could help. And we work for peanuts. Also, thank you to Flea, and thank you for prompting that exploration on ancient aliens and the importance of critical thought. Thanks to Dr. Astrolojon. You have some stuff coming. Matt, you and I mentioned this pretty often in the past. So I love the electromagnetic idea. We can't wait to see what you think about our gravitational theory. Just quickly, Doctor, remember, put your ethics to a side when you read it. It is a thought experiment.
Yes, and to be clear, this is Ben's idea, and he has written a research paper on it.
It's not a paper, and it was a group effort. So we can't wait to hear from you folks. Please tune in. We've got some exciting stuff on the way to you. In the meantime, tell us what's on your mind. YouTube, Instagram, all the social media hits. You can find us there under some variation of Conspiracy Stuff or Conspiracy Stuff Show. You can also give us a line on the telephone.
Yes, our number is 1-833-STDWYTK. When you call in, give yourself a cool nickname and let us know if we can use your name and message on the air. If you would like to instead send us links, a written message, maybe photographs, digitized photographs, anything you want to send to us that you can attach to an email, you can send it to us. We are
the entities that read every piece of correspondence we receive. Be well aware, yet unafraid. Sometimes the void writes back. You know what? Give us an AI image based on a prompt from something in one of our recordings. Just go nuts. Try to keep it safe for work, but something that gives us and your fellow conspiracy realistic giggle, or hit us up with anything else that's on your mind. Thanks again for tuning in. We'll talk to you soon. Conspiracy@iHeartRadio.com.
Stuff They Don't Want You to Know is a production of iHeartRadio. For more podcasts from iHeartRadio, visit the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your favorite shows.